Tonight on the Donlon Report, storming the court. At least that's what protesters in Brooklyn tried to do this weekend in support of unvaccinated star player Kyrie Irving. I'll speak with former Net Stephon Marbury live from Beijing about the vaccine drama here in the NBA. And I'll also ask him why the Boston Celtics got canceled in China. Plus, the Atlanta Braves make the World Series after the city lost the All-Star game this summer over Georgia's new voting law. So what kind of message did the team send by inviting anti-vax musician Travis Tritt to sing the national anthem? Is more drama heading to the ATL? More on that. Plus, you have to see this wild video. So that police chase led by a 12-year-old, and wait till you hear what he says when they finally caught him in tears. Great to have you with us as we start a new week here live from our Chicago studios. The Donlon Report starts right now. Good evening. Great to have you with us. Sports is no longer an escape. Politics is front and center in our games, whether we like it or not. Take a look at this. Anti-vaccine protesters showed up at the Brooklyn Nets game this weekend in support of star point guard Kyrie Irving, who has famously not gotten the vaccine. Here's how some of it went down. The vaccine debate has reached into every corner of our lives, from school to work and now sports. But you don't have to dig much deeper to find more political issues invading the sports pages. Just last week, Enes Kanter of the Boston Celtics expressed his displeasure with China.
Brutal dictator of China, Xi Jinping, I have a message for you and your henchmen. I will say it again, again, and again, loud and clear. I hope you hear me. Free Tibet, free Tibet, free Tibet.
In response, China took Celtics games off of its streaming service in that country. And this isn't the league's first run-in with China. What about baseball? The Atlanta Braves make it to the World Series for the first time since 1999. And there's more talk about the Atlanta than the Braves. USA Today calls it sweet revenge after Major League Baseball took the All-Star game away from Atlanta over Georgia's much-debated election law. And now, well, the commissioner has no choice. The Braves earned the World Series, so imagine the boos. One article in USA Today says if he has to hand the trophy to Atlanta on their home field if they win. And don't forget the National Football League, still reeling from the John Gruden email controversy. Now Congress wants to see all of the emails involved in the original investigation. What does Congress have to do with pro football? It's all ahead for us. The three major American sports, each engulfed in political debate. And that's where we begin tonight with Stephon Marbury, star of pro basketball and currently a coach in China. Stephon, what a career you've had and continue to have now in China. It's a pleasure to have you. We appreciate you getting up early for us in Beijing. Let's start with this situation with the Nets. You've been a coach. You've been a player. How would you have handled this with Kyrie?
This is his decision as far as how he feels. I think people should respect how he feels about what he's going to do with his body.
This wasn't the NBA's decision, Stephon, either, because this was the end. There isn't an NBA mandate. This was a team decision, as I understand it, with Kevin Durant and James Harden, two All-Stars on the team, saying, look, this isn't going to work. Because if you had been coach, could you have said or suggested, look, he doesn't play at home in Brooklyn, but he plays in Milwaukee? Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense if that was the rule. But at the same time, you have guys that are able to play who aren't vaccinated. So I think, from the standpoint of how Kyrie probably is looking at it, how is this fair?
Yeah, how do you draw that line, Stephon, between what's in the best interest of your team and doing what you believe in?
I mean, I don't think at this point, because this virus is only 2 years old, there's not enough data to prove a lot of different things. We're still learning about the virus as the virus continues to grow and it mutates. I think from Kyrie's standpoint, he's not saying that he's against it. He just doesn't know what is inside of what he's going to take, which is his right and his choice to feel the way how he feels. So I don't think that he's wrong from that standpoint. It's not about basketball right now, and I think a lot of people are misunderstanding that. I think, people understood that. I myself, I'm vaccinated. That's my decision and my choice to be vaccinated, but at the same time, when you look at what he's saying and what people are saying, it's two different things. He's not against, and he's not against the vaccine. He's just saying that he doesn't know what it is and if it's going to be beneficial for him.
Right. I don't need to tell you, Stephon, how divisive this whole thing has been here in the States. I know you're coaching in Beijing right now, but you found yourself in the middle of it between ESPN's Stephen A. Smith as well. You've been trading some jabs on this. We want to play a little bit of what he said and get your comment after. To your point, I think Stephen A. is trying to say that this is more a question of leadership. How would you answer that?
Well, when you go back in time with the Tuskegee, you could just go back to when, people were getting vaccines and it was harming them, during a specific time in our lives. So I don't think it's just Black people, it's all people. But yes, there are Black people that have been affected, but white, Spanish, all different types of people have been affected by this. At the same time, people who have gotten the vaccine have gotten sick and have died and have had problems. There are NBA players who have gotten the vaccine and have gotten sick. It has nothing to do with basketball. It's about life and it's about a decision. I myself, as I said, I believe that, getting vaccinated is important. I'm not saying that. I'm not speaking and talking about the vaccine. I'm speaking and talking about someone having a preference and what it is that they feel is needed for themselves. So, when a person is expressing themselves about how they feel about this vaccine, I think that people should take heed to that. I don't think it should be taken this lightly as far as him being crucified on ESPN and made out to be a mockery of all of what he's done, and his personal character being attacked. It's just not right. And that's why I spoke up about it. I felt that it was wrong because Kyrie is a beautiful soul. And for a person like that to be, put down and belittled because of a decision about something, and these times where people are dying from a vaccine and from a virus,
right?
It's not fair.
We have your voice from Beijing for another reason as well, Stephon. We wanted to ask you about the situation there. What is happening in China? Is the government requiring players to get the shot in the Chinese Basketball Association?
Yes, they didn't make it mandatory, but they asked people to get the shot, and the shot here is safe. There hasn't been anyone who has gotten sick from taking the shot not from that I know. Before the season started, I was vaccinated, so I made that decision on my own.
You had an 8-year career in the Chinese Basketball Association after
10.
a stellar 10. Okay, sorry, right. I know you were from 2010 to 2018, but from 96 to 09, you were in the NBA. So tell me about why, in your opinion, you've got such great experience in China. The NBA appears to be so afraid of China. You have Enes Kanter coming out, another player who's taking a stand, arguably, and China responds by taking Celtics games off of their streaming service.
I really can't make a comment on how he feels. He made his comments felt about a lot of different things politically. I think he has his rights to voice his opinion. I think that, China may feel differently about how he feels. And what goes on in someone else's country, you really can't dictate how you feel for them to do things the way how they feel things should be done in their country. Everywhere is different, just as America is.
Do you think U.S. players in the NBA should be able to speak freely about free speech and human rights issues that are happening in China without China responding by either threatening to get rid of team owners or threatening to not show NBA games in China? I mean, I know it's a delicate situation. Yeah.
It's their decision. It's their decision. It's their country. It's not for anyone to tell someone what to do in America, as it is you shouldn't tell anyone what to do in Turkey or in any other country. But I think people have their right to speak out about what it is that they feel, if they feel that way. And, that's just what it is. It's your human right.
Stephon Marbury, retired NBA guard, now head coach of the Beijing Royal Fighters. Again, I know it's early over there in Beijing. We appreciate you getting up to join us. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right, now, play ball or play politics? Let's turn to baseball and the World Series in Atlanta with Greg Bluestein, political reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He has the baseball angle for us tonight. Greg, to our point here, it didn't take long. I mean, you think they'd be celebrating there in Atlanta getting to the World Series, but after the win over the Dodgers, the talk was all about the All-Star game and getting snubbed.
It was. Within a few minutes, the governor of Georgia, Republican Brian Kemp, had reminded Georgians that the All-Star game, that MLB had made a decision to yank the All-Star game from Georgia in favor of Denver, Colorado, back in April. And so he also used it as a 2022 political gambit to remind folks that he blames Stacey Abrams, who is probably going to be his rival next year and was his rival back in 2018, for that MLB decision.
Yeah, that was one of his tweets. I know he said Abrams and the MLB stole the All-Star game from hardworking Georgians. The Braves earned their trip to the World Series and are bringing it home. Abrams was the target here, Greg, but didn't she actually urge the league not to pull the All-Star game at the end? Either way, again, it's just another example of how political this has become.
Yeah, and politics and sports go hand in hand in Georgia lately. And you're right, Stacey Abrams had urged MLB to keep the game in Georgia and to show its opposition to Georgia's new election law in other ways, by funding voting rights groups, by advocating for expansive federal voting rights measures, things like that.
Right.
But it quickly became a rallying cry from Republicans who say that she stole the game.
So there's more politics as well, Greg. I don't need to tell you. The national anthem and Travis Tritt, Game 6 in the National League Championship Series. And Travis actually tweeted as well, Atlanta lost the MLB All-Star game because of left-wing morons. More than fitting that half of the World Series games will be played in Atlanta. Karma is cruel, shall we say. The thing about this, Greg, is that this was the team. I mean, this wasn't the team decided to make this political, right? I mean, USA Today said it was essentially giving the middle finger to the pro-vaccine fans.
That's how it was read here in Atlanta by many, because not only is Travis Tritt outspoken in his views on the vaccine mandate, but he's also starring in lots of conservative rallies. I mean, I was at a rally of his not that long ago during the runoffs where he was stumping for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. So he's very outspoken in his political views. So it was definitely seen as a curveball right in the face of Democrats here in Georgia.
Yeah, interesting state in a lot of ways, politically and now in the sports world. I know there's a lot of excitement ahead for the World Series. Greg Bluestein, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So who should be held accountable for the deadly accidental shooting with a prop gun on Alec Baldwin's latest movie set? I'm going to speak with an attorney who represented Aaron Brockovich. Plus, the mother of all caravans pushes past Mexican authorities. Is our border wall next? Don't forget, you can follow us on social media at The Donlon Report on Twitter. Questions continue to surround last week's movie set tragedy that took the life of the cinematographer working on star Alec Baldwin's latest film. Baldwin accidentally shot and killed Helena Hutchins with a prop gun. Director Joel Souza was also shot in the shoulder in that incident. Last week, the LA Times reported crew members had walked off the set hours before the shooting in protest of working conditions. Well, now in a scathing Facebook post over the weekend, the chief electrician on the film said Hutchins' death was the result of negligence and unprofessionalism, saying in part, the person who was supposed to check the weapon on the site did not do this. The person who had to announce that the loaded gun was on the site did not do this. The person who should have checked the weapon before bringing it to the set did not do it. So, who should be held accountable? Joining me now, attorney Stuart Fraenkel. He successfully sued a production company after his client lost a limb while filming the movie Resident Evil Final Chapter. So, Stuart, it seems like there's an awful lot of liability at work here. For those of us not familiar with a Hollywood movie set, where would you begin?
Well, there's really two things that we need to talk about here. And one is we need to talk about apples and oranges. Are we talking about criminal liability or are we talking about civil liability? As far as the criminal liability is concerned, obviously, that's the state of New Mexico. They need to determine whether or not to file charges against any or more than one person relating to this event. If we then focus on civil liability, what we're looking at is we're focusing on, did these individuals or production companies, et cetera, fall below the standard of care in the use of this gun and these props? That's what this is about.
Right. At this point, though, Stuart, it doesn't appear anyway that any of this would be criminal in nature. Would you? Is that safe?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I looked up the New Mexico statute for involuntary manslaughter. And in essence, what they have to prove in order to convict someone of involuntary manslaughter is, did someone engage in reckless conduct that resulted in the death of an individual? And it can be argued here that this indeed was reckless conduct. Whether or not the district attorney in the state of New Mexico decides to prosecute, that's to be determined.
Well, to that point, one of the many concerning things, at least as we read after the fact, is the report that there were 3 incidents involving misfires just days before this. So it's not like this came out of nowhere.
Right, that's the whole point, and that's what they're going to be looking at both on the criminal side and the civil side is what was happening on the set? Where were there safety protocols? Why were there safety protocols not being followed? These are all issues, and we look, there's a lot of information we don't know yet, but you know, you have to start with Alec Baldwin, and then you need to work backwards to the people that were working with the gun, you know, putting the blanks together, advising Mr. Baldwin that, yes, this gun was cold, et cetera. There are a lot of fault to put around here.
Right. As far as Alec Baldwin goes, there's some question as to whether he might face some charges. To your point, if he's an executive producer on this, does he bear some liability as to what happens on that set?
Well, it goes a little bit deeper than that. So Alec Baldwin was the one that pulled the trigger. And when I was in the Marine Corps, they taught us don't point a gun at anyone unless you intend on killing that person. It's all about basic gun safety 101. And this is a revolver. You can tell just by looking at the revolver whether or not there's a round in there. And if you're going to be pointing a weapon at someone, you as a person holding that handgun need to ensure that it is safe. So Alec Baldwin, I do believe, is going to bear some responsibility for this action as an individual, the person who actually pulled the trigger.
Even though the assistant director apparently told him it was a cold gun.
Absolutely. Think about it. If I handed you a pistol and I told you this gun is safe, would you point that pistol at your child and with no problem? I'm just going to point it and pull the trigger. Would you do that? Of course you wouldn't. You're going to want to ensure that that gun is safe. And it's not a lot. These revolvers are very simple. You pull a pin, you roll it out, you see if there's rounds in there, you tap them out, you put it back together. If you have the pistol in your hand, you are the last person responsible to determine whether or not it is safe. So some of the responsibility is borne on Mr. Baldwin. Look, I'm a huge fan of Mr. Baldwin. I feel sorry for him, but he does bear some responsibility here.
What else do you think might change from this, Stuart? You've been involved in one case that we mentioned. There have been a number. Do you think there are changes as a result of this?
You know, we've been arguing for a long time. I mean, this goes all the way back to I was involved in a Chuck Norris movie incident involving a helicopter crash. I've been involved in a number of these kinds of incidents. And it's sad because they probably do have safety protocols in place, meaning they're written, but they're just not followed. And this is a low budget production. And maybe that's why, you know, you're looking at Mr. Hall. There were some complaints about him at a prior production. And then you've got some person who's an armorer who is a rookie. You know, there are a lot of questions here. There's a lot of information we still don't know, and I'm not going to be surprised to find it being pretty salacious.
All right. A tragedy nonetheless. Attorney Stuart Fraenkel.
Tragedy.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your insight and your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day, sir.
You too. Dashcam video shows a dangerous police chase out of New Mexico resulting in a head-on collision. And you're going to want to see who the driver was. And a fatal police-involved shooting in Chicago, the moments that led up to that ultimate decision an officer made on the job to pull the trigger. And the sports controversy continues, why Congress is now getting involved in the NFL and their handling of harassment in the workplace. It's all ahead. Remember the recent scandal surrounding NFL coach John Gruden's emails? Well, Congress is now getting involved, saying they fear the Gruden emails represent just the tip of the iceberg. Representatives Carolyn V. Maloney and Raja Krishnamurthy are seeking all documents from the investigation into the Washington football team to look into the NFL's response to workplace culture. Joining me now for more is Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy from Illinois. So let's start with what prompted this, Congressman. It's been a little while since we've seen you. Thanks for the time.
Sure thing, Joe. What prompted it was the fact that, quite frankly, we don't know exactly how the NFL and the Washington football team have investigated this alleged culture of workplace abuse, especially toward women. There have been numerous allegations of sexual harassment, which we're very concerned about. But on top of that, the NFL investigated this, but it was in a very unusual manner. So, for instance, they hired a former federal prosecutor, but they specifically asked her not to write anything down, not to produce a written report of any kind. And then lastly, they've been using a raft of non-disclosure agreements to basically silence victims. And what we're concerned about in this Me Too era, when we've seen this used so many times, is basically predators, sexual predators, potentially being held unaccountable and being able to continue to do their misdeeds.
What did you ask for? What are you looking for from the NFL?
Basically, the documents that were collected during the investigation, including 650,000 emails that were collected, but none of which was actually shared in any kind of written form or with the public in any way, shape, or form. We're also asking about other correspondence. Basically, we want to know how the investigation was conducted. You know, Congress has at least two reasons why it's interested in this type of thing. First, we always have an interest in making sure that every workplace is safe, especially for women who unfortunately face a lot of sexual harassment in the workplace. And then secondly, there's probably perhaps no more visible workplace in America than the NFL. And it has a powerful influence on how people think about how a workplace should be handled and, of course, how women should be treated. And so that's why we're investigating.
Based on what little we know, Congressman, about this investigation and what we've learned, at least from the emails we've seen involving John Gruden, do you have any doubt that this goes much deeper?
I don't know yet. I want to wait to see what's in those emails and the correspondence. Obviously, what was in the John Gruden emails was deeply disturbing, and it really speaks to his character and his inappropriate behavior. But what I'm really interested in is workplace conduct and the conduct that was directed at women and others, and whether, you know, this particular instance was investigated properly and what we can learn as we formulate rules, regulations, and laws regarding the same.
So I'm curious, it's I guess, up to the NFL whether it responds to this request. Is that they probably have more lawyers than they do football players, is my point.
Well, I hope that they cooperate with us voluntarily. Most parties to these types of investigations do, because they know that we have the tools to compel the production of documents, information, and of course, live testimony. But I'm hoping that the NFL cooperates so that we can learn more about exactly what they did and why they did what they did.
Yeah, well, the union would like to see all of these documents as well, the players' union. Do you have concerns that they might not, or can they, I guess, say, listen, we're just not going to give it to you?
They can say whatever they want, but we are entitled to see those documents. And like I said, we do have the tools to compel the production of those documents. But most times, as I said also before, the parties to these investigations normally cooperate. And so I'm hoping that they do the same.
All right, we will see. Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy from Illinois, thank you very much for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We're going to shift gears now to our law enforcement and some of the challenges they face every day, something we call policing in America. This dash cam video from the Doña County Sheriff's Department, this is in New Mexico, shows a dangerous police chase, which came to an end when the driver entered an off-ramp heading the wrong direction and got into a head-on collision with another vehicle. Police were stunned to find out who that fleeing driver was.
It wasn't my fault, sir.
What you just did to this family?
It wasn't my fault.
Who's driving? You were.
I know, but I was forced. You don't understand, sir.
How old are you doing?
I'm 12. I was forced to do this.
I was forced to do it. Joining me now, retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey. And Cheryl, when I saw this video, I said, I can't wait to talk to the sergeant because I want to hear how, as a mother, she would have talked to that 12-year-old driver. What would you have said?
Well, listen, obviously this young man has spent some hours behind the wheel, right? And so how he was able to get the keys to the car and get the car off the family property without an adult knowing makes me wonder, what kind of supervision is this young man under? And where are his parents and who forced him? I've got questions.
Yes, indeed. So this wasn't a joyride either, Sergeant. They stole the car. And I guess the other thing this brings up is something I wanted to ask you about with these chases, because they are controversial. And I know each city sort of has their own policies on this. When do you use a pit maneuver? When do you use spike strips? When do you call it off and let a car go? How do you decide? Because the results, as we're seeing in an incident here in Utah, can be deadly for a driver who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Absolutely. And that's a case-by-case situation. And we know from what we're hearing with this particular pursuit, this young 12-year-old was entering the wrong way. And so there could have been mass casualties had they not put an end to it in that moment. And I understand why a pit maneuver was used. Only one other vehicle was involved, but imagine how many more others could have been coming in the direction of this wrong way driver. So it made sense to me in that instance.
Let's get you on a Chicago shooting, a police officer involved shooting, Sergeant. This happened to a man who was suspected of in a domestic violence case holding a weapon. Let's watch what happened here.
Run away.
Put it down, my guy.
Run away.
Put it down.
Put the knife down. Put it down. Put it down.
So he had a knife, Sergeant, and I know it's hard to watch just from that little bit there, but this is sort of one of those classic scenarios, shoot or don't shoot.
Well, you know, even in someone possessing a knife, you can certainly close the distance between yourself and an officer very quickly if you start charging. And so, you know, unfortunately, we never want to use deadly force unless we have to, immediate defense of life or the life of our life or another. You have someone who has a weapon, he's being confronted by police, being given orders to drop it, and he doesn't. And so, you know, sometimes deadly force has to be used.
Yeah. Retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey, it's great to have you as always. Take care. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Daytime talk show host Steve Wilkos has been thrilling audiences for 15 seasons now, not shying away from issues a lot of shows avoid, including domestic violence and child abuse. The big man himself joins us live with why his show continues to resonate with audiences. Plus, the mother of all caravans pushing past Mexican authorities. Is our border the next stop? Much more ahead. We are following some breaking news out of Idaho tonight. 2 people now confirmed dead, at least 6 others injured after a shooting at a mall in Boise. Police say 1 person is in custody and they are working their way through each business at that mall. But at this point, don't have information about additional threats. We will continue to monitor this breaking situation, bring you the very latest as soon as we learn more. But again, 2 dead confirmed at least tonight in Boise, Idaho. Want to now look at our southern border, where a caravan of nearly 4,000 migrants is currently headed from southern Mexico. That caravan departed from Tapachula, Mexico, Saturday, and dramatic video shows them powering their way through Mexican law enforcement and continuing their journey north. Joining me now, Chris Olivarez, Texas Department of Public Safety. Lieutenant, great to have you. I'm curious what you think when you see that video down in southern Mexico.
Well, thanks for having me. Great to be with you. So we've been monitoring this caravan a while already. We work closely with our federal partners, and we're closely monitoring this caravan to see where they're going to end up or if they're even going to make it this far to the southern border. We have resources in place, and we are going to take a proactive approach and try to deter this surge of illegal immigrants that may come across from this caravan, not only with the Texas Department of Public Safety, but also with the Texas National Guard. We have a great partnership with Texas National Guard. They're deploying thousands and thousands of soldiers to the southern border as well, and preparing for this possible caravan that could make its way to the southern border.
Are you surprised as you watch this video, Lieutenant, that, I mean, you see the officers almost look like stormtroopers with their shields. Are you surprised that all of these folks were able to get through that line?
I'm not surprised, because we've been seeing this taking place since the beginning of the year. There hasn't been no action from the federal government to implement, stiffer policies in place for the border. And that's why you see the messaging that's coming across is right now is to come to the U.S., search the border because you will be released to the country. But I can tell you that Texas is not going to allow that. We're not going to allow what took place in Del Rio with the Haitians. And that's why we're taking a proactive approach and making sure that does not happen again.
Is there any indication where this group is heading?
And that's what we don't know right now. We have intel individuals that are working with our federal partners, with U.S. Border Patrol. We are monitoring the situation. But again, once they make it to Mexico City, that's the hub where usually they're going to congregate. And then from there, the human smuggling organizations will then break them up into smaller groups, 2,000 to 3,000, and then make their way in different locations. So right now, we do not know exactly where they're going to go or how far they're going to make it. But I will say that the federal government needs to put pressure on the Mexican government so that they don't make it that far, so they don't get to the southern border.
Right. You say you are monitoring the situation. Have you been told anything down there, Texas DPS or Border Patrol, how you will handle this caravan if and when it gets here?
So I can tell you from the state side that we have thousands of resources, assets that we can deploy to the border. We did that in Del Rio. A perfect example is when we deployed over 600 DPS troopers in addition to the 1,000 that we already deployed to the current border operation, and we formed a steel wall with our patrol cars. That was a deterrent that prevented any other surges from taking place. So we're going to do that again. We have resources, and also we have thousands of National Guard that are going to be with us as well to implement that, so we don't see what took place in Del Rio again.
All right, Lieutenant Chris Olivarez, thanks again for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You're a grandmother, you're a mother, and the guy that you sleep with molested your grandchild. Please tell me that there's something inside you that is angering you.
Of course there is.
Well, then tell me about it. You are a menace. When you are sleeping with our children and smoking dope with them, you are a menace. Okay. Get the hell off my stage. You want a piece of me? You want a piece of me?
How are you going to tell me that?
I tell any man that. Any man that walks out on his wife.
I ain't walked out on.
That's what you're doing right now.
So for 15 years, Steve Wilkos has been giving us some of the most outrageous moments on television. Before that, he was head of security for the equally sensational Jerry Springer show, ducking chairs and breaking up fights. Steve Wilkos joins us now. Steve, congratulations on 15 seasons. You've had a front row seat to some pretty crazy TV. Here's a simple question. What in the world is wrong with people?
It's crazy. People say, how long can you do the show? And I'm like, as long as people out there living their lives, we'll always have material for new shows.
Yeah. What does it say to you, though, that people love to watch this? I mean, they can't get enough of it.
I always was asked that, especially when I was on the Jerry Springer show. And I do think that there's some level of when people come home and they might have it tough and they turn on, the Springer show or, even my show to some point, people feel better about their own lives. I think, they don't have it so bad, I guess.
Yeah. Thank goodness for the lie detector test, right? Do you say that like every show?
Yeah, we use it quite a bit. There's rarely a show that goes by that we don't use lie detector tests. And it's pretty interesting because even when we started the show, I wasn't exactly how accurate they were. And we did a story where this guy, he had a very close girlfriend, and his fiance thought they were sleeping together. And, you know, they both were so adamant. They both failed the lie detector test, the girlfriend and the guy. And after the show, they were so adamant on stage. I'm like, man, you know, maybe the lie detector test is wrong. So I had my producers bring each of them in to my green room one at a time. And I asked them, I'm like, you know, did you really not sleep with each other? And they're like, oh, yeah, we did. We just were running on stage. So I'm like, it's pretty accurate, I think.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. So we're watching some of this video, Steve. Have you ever been in a situation? I remember when there was a big deal made about Geraldo. Remember when he got hit with a chair or something on his show? Yeah. There's always, you think, or I guess know, the possibility that this thing's going to go south. The question is just how far south, right? Because you have security right there waiting for this thing to go off the rails.
Yeah, you know, like the one time I got hit by a bull, there was a bull
I saw
on
that,
stage.
yeah.
Yeah, and the girl, she wasn't trying to hit me. She was actually trying to hit her daughter. And it happened the daughter was slowly poisoning the mother by pouring bleach in orange juice. And she failed the lie detector test. The mom was so mad. She saw this bowl. I never even saw the bowl on my stage. Right. And she picked it up and she threw it and she hit me, but it was fine. And we actually got our highest rating ever on that show. So I said some more people should probably hit me.
Were you more worried about getting into the thick of it when you were running security for Jerry's show or as the host now?
Well, you know, when I was doing security on Jerry, I still was a Chicago policeman. So I was used to a lot of physical confrontations. So it didn't really bother me. But once I left the Springer show and I did my own show, and as the years passed by, like now, like you said, season 15, man, I don't want to mix it up with anybody, really. You know, like if I had to, I will, but I really don't have any desire for that anymore, that's for sure.
But you will if you have to, I'm sure. That's what it sounds like. You and Jerry were almost social media before social media. I mean, you guys were the first ones to really go kind of viral before that was a thing.
Yeah, you know, and that's where it's all going. You know, the scary thing for TV is like kids don't watch TV. You know, my kids never watch TV. They're on their cell phones and tablets and computers. So nobody sits down and younger people certainly don't sit down and watch TV like it has been for years. So if you don't get with social media, if you have a show or you're on a show and you want to promote it, then you're going to be left for dead. I mean, you really got to get on social media and promote your show and have content on there so that you can get younger viewers, you know, some eyeballs on your show.
Right. Hey, Steve, good luck with the 15th season. Thanks for coming by. And one other thing, get out of my studio.
Well, thanks for having me on.
All right. I shouldn't say that because you've been kind enough to join us from your kitchen, I guess. But, Steve, it's great to have you. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Did you practice that in the mirror?
Oh, it's fun to see him. Can you believe that show's 15 years? Wow.
It is.
And ours has been like 15 minutes.
It feels like 15 years sometimes. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Had a nice 4-day weekend. What do you have tonight?
Yeah, well, you and I are both dog lovers.
Right.
And there's sort of a certain pathology if you're going to be cruel to dogs. And obviously there's times you have to do animal research for various things. But we're talking to the group that uncovered this just incredibly cruel practice, White Lab group that is going up against Dr. Fauci. $400,000 of taxpayer money spent to torture beagles and have them eaten to death by sandflies. And there is now finally a bipartisan group of Republicans and Democrats in Congress who are going to investigate this waste and see if there's a way to put some restrictions on what they can do with animal testing.
Does this come down to you're either on board with some of it or none of it? You know what I mean?
It's a great question because it's a fine line, right? Because if at some point, you know, we've done stories about how they're testing kidneys transplanted from pigs to humans. Well, you have to test pigs in order to do that. What it appears as though at some level it's unnecessarily cruel. And there's a big question here, which is how much of this is tied to researchers just wanting to bring in money because as an academic, your career advancement's tied to how much you bring in. So you just invent experiments to be cruel to animals. So you bring in more money.
All right, we'll see with that at the top of the hour. Leland, thanks very much. Back with tonight's American Snapshot after this. A dancing father and a son you don't want to miss. We have an update now on a great story we first brought you last week. Check it out. So this is some of the joy that Kenneth Thomas and his son Christian have after finding out 4.5-year-old Christian is now 35 months cancer-free. Kenneth and Christian have been celebrating his diagnosis monthly, and it's not the first time they've gone viral. Here's a video of them letting loose celebrating Christian's 11-month milestone of being cancer-free back in 2019. For their story now, we want to bring him in. They thought they'd join us. It's great to have them. Kenneth and Christian Thomas. They've gone viral for all the right reasons. Kenneth, tell me a little bit more about how you decided to do this with dancing, because this is part of your business, right?
Well, yeah, I'm actually retired as a dancer now, more into leadership coaching. Now that, the dancing aspect of it, people got so attached to the story so much that they also love the positive message that we have behind it. So we started doing these videos when he was just 7 days into his chemotherapy. And on day number 32 is when our video went viral with the Level Up Challenge by Sierra. And then from there, we just kept doing them. And it was really a way of therapy for him mentally inside the hospital room. Setting that atmosphere was super important for us, and ultimately cut his recovery time in half, which shocked the doctors as well, too.
Wow. Kenneth, what stands out to me and what I love about these videos that I've seen is the look on Christian's face. You get to see it all the time, but when you see these videos and you see his reaction, what does it mean to you?
It just means, to me that he's happy, he's in a great place. It means that he's enjoying what he's seeing from his dad. And, especially, Papa, especially with him having Down syndrome, it also gives him a sense of developing memory. A lot of people with Down syndrome, they have what you call Alzheimer's. They develop it later on in life. So him doing these dance moves and everything with me is developing his memory. We even do little handshakes and everything from time to time to continue to keep his memory going.
Yeah, we just have a few seconds left. What's the next milestone?
The next milestone is shifting 1 million lives by 2025.
Wow.
And helping everybody understand this. Listen, when we change the mind, we change the game. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow worry about itself, and today is all we got. So our impact today, the best way we know how, doing what we do and using your gift to me.
I love it. All right, well, we lost his signal. Kenneth and Christian Thomas, we appreciate the time. On Balance is next.